and welcome back to yet another episode of the Gameable Audio, a VGM podcast. And today is going to be a little bit more special than usual, as today we're going to talk about a band that has more of a reference to video game music in some sense. Today I have Magnus Johansson from Dual Aeon. Hello!
Hi. Thank you. Thank you. You know what I really like about you as a host? You're very happy. And it feels like legit happy. You know, when I listen to other video game related podcasts, well, they're quite serious sometimes. But I like that about you. I really like your energy.
No, that is one of the things that I really love and adore about listening and talking, especially about video game music and reference music to video games as well. Because I'm very passionate about this. I love and adore this, and I really didn't kind of grow up listening to video game music and music itself. For me, it kind of came afterwards a little bit. And for me, it was specifically I would say the modular music from the demo scene.
Oh.
That's kind of how it began for me.
Oh, I see.
So it is special. And today, for episode 52, it's going to be even more special as, like I said, you are from a band called Dual Aeon. And this is a band that you started a while back, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very interesting to follow up a little bit of where you kind of began and kind of where you're heading at the moment. And I totally forgot to say I am the host, Kristoffer Schenström, that kind of moderates this in some sense and to some extent. But yeah, first of all, Magnus, I want to get to know you a little bit more. For me, I know you a little bit, not too much. So I would love to get to know you a little bit better. And for people out there that are listening in on the podcast for the first time, and maybe not being a Swedish speaker, might not have listened to a previous podcast that you were working on. So, can you talk a little bit more about yourself?
I don't know how interesting that is really. But if I'm supposed to describe myself in a situation that suits this program, I would say that, okay, so you can have many kind of interests. You can be interested in movies, you can be interested in video games, you can be interested in all sorts of things. My main interest is retro. and all other things are below that. So I can enjoy a movie that's new, but if it's a movie from the 80s or 90s, I always enjoy it more. Because I don't know why, but that's the way I've always been. And I can listen to new music, but if it's music from 80s and 90s, it seems like I prefer it more.
Hits the heart a little bit better.
Yeah, for some reason.
Yeah, but considering that you were always kind of having this interest, was this something that was also an interest when you were younger as well, or is it more like what you kind of viewed and listened to when you were younger is kind of what stuck when you grew older, or were you young and you liked older stuff even then?
No, not really. I followed the current world up until 1993. I would say ever since
1993.
Ever since 1993, I've been looking back. No.
Interesting. Was this some kind of spark that happened to you at this point in time that kind of started this?
No, I don't know.
Is it all a blur at the moment?
No, I don't know. No, it's no. That time is not a blur. What's a blur is from 2015 and onwards. That's a blur.
It all goes too fast.
Yeah, but before that, I'm quite good with the years.
No, but this is interesting. I love this. So do continue.
You know what? Before we do anything else, I just want to give you credit for your episode on Asterix and Obelix for the Super Nintendo.
Okay.
Because way too few people talk about that game. And I actually owned that game as a kid. I got it for Christmas back in 96, and my parents paid close to $80 for it back then.
Games were expensive. Well, they kind of still are.
They were hugely expensive, and it cost in Swedish kronor 899 Swedish kronor. Could you imagine? But
I know, I've been there.
Right? But one of those back then, I don't know about you, but I got 1 or 2 games a year. So choose carefully, right?
Same here.
So
Yep,
I had seen
correct.
this game in the toy store, and I spent that summer before reading all the Asterix albums that I could come over. So I knew the characters and I knew the adventure. And this game, the cover promised so much joy. I mean, look at the cover.
Yeah.
They look so happy. And
It's an adventure.
I don't want to talk too much negative about it because I actually have started to appreciate it throughout the years.
Yeah.
And I just want to give you credit on doing a full music episode about that game specifically. It was one of my favorite episodes when it comes to Gameable audio.
Thank you so much. No, I loved and adore that, and especially the composer behind the game as well is so special to me because I've been kind of following his work over time and playing through these games again when I got older. I started listening to them. I started to understand which games he kind of worked specifically for Infogrames, working with all these different titles, and he worked on a majority of the Asterix and Obelix games for different consoles as well. And he has this specific style that kind of makes it happy and adventurous, I would say. And that's what makes it so good.
Sorry, do you know if he worked on the games for the Master System too? There are 3 Asterix games for them.
If I remember correctly, yes.
All right,
but
okay,
I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure he did.
Okay, great.
So because he worked on so many different consoles at that point in time and different releases, releasing everything from Nintendo, Sega, and even for Game Boy, for example, which to me felt so different in some sense. Usually when you listen to composers from back in the day, they usually kind of transcend over and engage better, like Nintendo to Super Nintendo, etc. But going from Nintendo, Super Nintendo, then back to a Game Boy, it feels weird.
It does.
But I guess there could be some nostalgia to it as well, considering that the Game Boy and the Nintendo kind of share similarities, considering the music and the amount of channels you can work with.
That's true.
So there's a lot of things going on, and yet again, thank you so much for bringing that episode up. I was very happy with that. I actually picked up the game and actually played it. It is brutal as hell. I don't think I completed more than like 2 levels.
But it has great animations. You know, it's quite varied too. The different stages. No, I really started to appreciate that game the last 10 years at least. Yeah.
And I think that you're on to something special here that I kind of love and adore myself, that over the course of time when you're playing games, I would say your favorite genre kind of is fluid in some sense. It's like, even if something is hard and brutal and you really don't like it at the moment, I mean, considering over time, you can start appreciate the game instead for what it is, because it might suit you better when you get older, for example.
Yes.
Like in this case with Asterix and Obelix then.
Exactly.
And that's what I love. So I usually say, like, don't hate on a game. For example, for me, one of the latest I had, Firewatch. Right now I'm in this period where I like fast-paced games. And I know Firewatch is not a fast-paced game, so I thought, like, I shouldn't start this because I don't think I will like this game. But holy crap, I got hooked. So even I can be wrong, even if I think I know myself enough.
Right? But that's good. It's good that, you can still change even though you're way over 30.
Yeah, definitely. So keep an open mind is what I'm saying.
Yes.
But on the topic of being open-minded and so on, what kind of... I think since you're not the musical audio guy per se in this duo, you're working more with the lyrics and everything.
Yeah.
Where did the interest of working with lyrics kind of start for you, getting that kind of structural in words? Because that's something you need to be some kind of word magician to some extent, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I can only tell you when it started. It started when I was in high school, which is in Swedish called gymnasium, which is very confusing for English-speaking people. But when I was in high school, I started writing lyrics to songs that had yet no melody or any tune at all. And I cannot say why, but it started then.
But was it more kind of poetic style then?
No, it was meant to be songs.
Okay.
I remember at the time, I listened to Bob Marley, Bob Dylan, and Simon and Garfunkel a lot. So I think what I did back then was like a mixture between those 3. You know, when you're new to something, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're painting or writing, and you don't know where to start with, you usually start by imitating those that you like. You start by imitating your idols. And I think that's a good place to start, actually. And then slowly finding your own style. So again, I don't know why I started or how it started. I just know when. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting that it started, I would say, quite early, though, then.
Quite early? Well, how old are you at gymnasium? You're 17, 8? Yeah, I was around 18 at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
But those,
correct,
like, 50-plus lyrics, they were just laying around. Nothing happened to them. But I can tell you one thing, though. When it comes to video game music, I can tell you, okay, my first video game console was the NES. But I was quite late into it. I got it Christmas 1990, which was at the end of the console's 5th year here in Sweden. And I got the NES plus 5 games. 5 games that I've shamefully named the Big 5 in my own podcast. But anyway, one of them, and this is the first time I ever remember thinking video game music was really good. And that was The Goonies 2.
The Goonies 2 does have a really good OST.
Right.
And it really does.
Exactly. It was a game that sometimes I could just put it on in the background just to hear the overworld theme. You know, Good Enough by Cyndi Lauper, but who knew back then that it was a Cyndi Lauper song? But I just remember I liked that song so much.
It is really good. I actually listened to that song a lot of times myself. I think I even have it on my to listen to list on YouTube. So sometimes I just go in there to just feel good vibes.
Right. Good vibes. Exactly. Yep. And also, don't forget the password theme for that game. And also the ice level are amazing. It's quite...
it is really good.
Yeah, right? It's quite somber, the ice level. And then, of course, I also remember liking growing up the songs from Mega Man and the very first Hero Turtles.
Classics.
Right? And the first Hero Turtles game for the NES.
Yeah. And this is also an interesting, since you said the Hero Turtles. For me, I know it was Hero Turtles here, but for me, it always have been Ninja Turtles. And I don't think everybody out there kind of understands the whole thing with us in Europe had Hero Turtles because ninjas were too dangerous.
Right? Is that still the official explanation why it had to be named Hero Turtle?
That's the one I've heard so far, and I haven't heard any other version of it. Yeah, but I love that because that's one thing that has been on, I would say, this is something in Sweden we call this been on tapeten, on the wallpaper. And we had that with Power Rangers, we had it with Darkwing Duck, that was banned here in Sweden because people were imitating fighting styles and throwing rocks at each other and kids got hurt. So that is one of the things that I remember from news.
Yeah, and when you talk about that, I get the same feeling as I did when I was 10. I remember I got so upset reading in the local newspaper that Darkwing Duck was going to be cancelled. Apparently because it was too violent and too dark. And then I also remember another cartoon that all of us who grew up in Sweden at the time watched. And that was Tom and Jerry. Because that was on a special TV program in Sweden that was actually a sports program for kids. But for some reason, I think every episode showed one short clip with Tom and Jerry. And those old cartoons from the 40s and 50s, they were so violent. They chop each other up.
Yes.
They put each other in grinders. They chase each other with machine guns. That's violent. That's violent.
Yes.
And
it is.
Right? And I was so upset as a 10-year-old because I was like, what is this? Tom and Jerry. Take away Tom and Jerry, but don't take my Darkwing Duck.
Yeah. I totally agree. And I grew up with these as well. And I love and adore them all. Even today, when they release something new, for example, on Netflix, when they release something new with Tom and Jerry, I'm there watching it because I love and adore these little critters.
Right. I love the way they run. Jerry, the mouse, he runs with his hands up like that. And then Tom leaning forward, running. It's a great way of running.
And it's so nostalgic. It is so much fun. And you know these guys in and out, even though you maybe not. But it feels like they've always been there for you.
Yes, that is correct. But I don't like the very old ones. It used to be cartoon by Warner Bros. First, I think. Those are too... But anyway, my journey in liking video game music... It's soon over. But I have after the Mega Man and Hero Turtles, now we're into the mid-90s. I remember that Christmas, it must have been 1995. My friend, he got 2 games for Christmas that year that has amazing soundtrack. And that is Yoshi's Island and Donkey Kong Country 2, which were both released December 1995 over here. And that year, this friend of mine, he knew where his mother hid these games before she had wrapped them. So let's say this was mid-December. So we were actually over there, and when his mother was not around, we actually took the games out and we played them. But those 2 games, I remember saying to him, you know, do 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 do. You know that song from Yoshi's Island? I remember saying to him, "This is amazing. This is," and also same with Donkey Kong Country 2. One of the cave music that's like do 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 do, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is some of the best songs I ever heard." I remember saying to him back then.
Yeah, they were so amazing. I mean, there was like a technical marvel happening with the Super Nintendo and all the different new chips and graphical wise as well. It was amazing to my like how I thought of it at that point in time.
Right.
It was just crazy. But like you're saying with the music, it's so iconic as well. Especially now when even younger kids pick them up as memes. The Yoshi's main theme. It's like they made a meme of that. Exactly.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So even younger kids are picking up these great melodies, and I just love and adore that kind of thing happening. But by destroying it, by making memes out of it, I'm getting a little bit frustrated at the same time.
Yeah, well, what can you do? It's still spreading the gospel, sort of.
It does. I can't be angry at that.
So
just
I was
like
still,
the situation.
Right. So I was still quite locked to Nintendo consoles. But then, summer of 2002, I discovered the Swedish radio show. And now I'm talking actual radio, not what you and I are doing. I'm talking actual radio, the
not
actual
podcast.
radio. Exactly. Yeah. It was a radio show back then called Syntax Error. And that show opened up, it was an incredible show. That early on into Millennium, already then, they played songs from the Atari ST, the Amiga, Commodore 64, Amstrad, ZX Spectrum, you know, and that opened up my mind to video game music from other consoles, not just Nintendo. And that actually coincided, 2002 was this, with when I started writing lyrics. And I remember, this is something I haven't thought about in 20 years, but I remember actually I wanted to write a song that was based upon Che Guevara, but put into video game chiptune in the background. I have to do that song someday. I just realized.
So it's still a project.
It's still a project. I haven't thought about it for 20 years, but that song has to be done sometime. Anyway, sorry for interrupting you. Keep interrupting you, but that was just my background.
Worries.
That was my background story when it came to me and my relationship to video game music as I grew up. And the story is over now.
Yeah. And considering with the story being over, I think this could be just a great segment to just move into the first track of the week then, to start a little bit more understanding of the band itself, and we will deep dive a little bit more of the processes that you guys are working with them. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. So let's listen to the first track of the week. And the track name of this is called To Kalinka with Love.
Particular skill I have to win, 8 masters to kill. They give me a thrill. They even have the first man with the drill, just to get to you. 3 lives and do you know that it's true. Know that your father just resent you, forced to the robot master's brew. For Doctor and his crew, My mind isn't yawn, but I carry on, 'cause soon our Russian love could be bygone. My eyes, they turn to you. Last life before it's over. It's sad but it's true. With Pharaoh shot equipped and ready. One last time I charge my blast for you. E-tank saves my heart. My love for you. Where have you gone to? Kalinka Kosak. Where are you now? Kalinka Kosak. Where have you gone to? Kalinka Kosak. Where are you now? Kalinka Kosak. Where have you gone to? Kalinka Kosak. Where are you now? Kalinka Kosak. Where have you gone to? Kalinka Kosak.
Fading out to Kalinka with Love. And for people listening in for the first time on this episode, for every track, I always have this emotion segment. And with this, that I mean is, I lean back in my chair, I close my eyes, I have my headphones on, and I listen exclusively on this song until I feel something. And considering that this is also more of a general, I would say this is not specifically a VGM track, so it's not specifically made for a video game, just to have that stated. But with this, since it's more of a pop kind of reference onto it, it can be a little bit, I would say, different from my usual experience when I talk about emotions. So, with that said, let's dive into Kalinka with Love's Emotion. This track fires up my nostalgia on all cylinders. Not on the melody, not necessarily on the lyrics, but specifically the sound effects they are using in this track. We can hear the sounds of my absolute favorite Blue Bomber, Mega Man. And this track does give off this indie synth pop vibe for me, and I really like how it's sparked with this wholesome vibe that kind of overwatches the whole track. I really like that segment of the full track. And considering that this is one of the first tracks that I've listened to, not specifically for just this episode, but also back in the day when you guys promoted your work as Dual Aeon. This is still one of my favorite songs by you guys, considering that you have released a lot of more tracks since then. And it could be that I'm a little bit tad biased because of this Blue Bomber reference, of the lyrics and the sound effect, but considering all these things that I'm being biased and how much I love this, I need to say this, and I'm not being, I don't want to be rude in any way, but this is definitely not your group's best lyrical or best singing work. But this song does become really nostalgic for me, and I cannot stop listening to it. Because you made so much more amazing that we're, of course, going to listen to more of these tracks over the time. And one of the last things I want to say before we start talking, I am not the best Mega Man fan when it comes to Mega Man overall, because I tend to strive back to the X series myself. And as I recall, there is no Kalinka in these games. So my first question to you, Manga, is who is this Kalinka?
Okay, that's a great question. Okay, so, well, but there's something I want to tell you, though. You said you would talk about the Mega Man sounds that you hear in the song. There's like his death sound. You hear the boot, the disappearing
you hear
blocks.
The
Charging. I want to tell you, and also if Nintendo is listening in on us, those are actually not samples. Those are actually, David has recreated those sounds from the bass.
That is really cool. I love this.
Okay, so who is Kalinka? Okay, so I want to start by saying that this is quite a while ago now, but I was listening to one of the biggest podcasts in Sweden, And they were talking about a Swedish singer who had just released a song in Finnish. And they said, man, talk about making it difficult for you. Releasing a song in Finnish. And I was like, but wait a minute. How difficult or weird is that really? A Finnish-born Swedish singer who makes a song in Finnish. That is not difficult. Kalinka with Love is difficult. That is making it difficult for you. Because first of all, this is not a general video game related song. You know, already there, we are in the obscure. Because if you think about all your colleagues at work, how many of them actually listen to video game inspired music? Only a few. So already now we're into the obscure. It's video game related.
If you're lucky, only a few.
Right. But not just that. It's inspired by the Mega Man game. But not just the Mega Man series. That would be too easy. This song is based upon Mega Man 4 specifically. But not just that.
Mega Man 4.
This song is about a specific character who only appears in Mega Man 4.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's quite... So this is... Maybe we make it too difficult for ourselves creating songs like this, you know, because even though you play the Mega Man games and you seem quite into the X series, but you play the NES games too, but still you don't know Kalinka, and I don't really blame you. But I can tell you who she is.
Yeah.
So in Mega Man 4, Dr. Wily has kidnapped a Dr. Cusack and forces him to create robot masters for him. And after fighting Dr. Cusack, this guy's daughter, Kalinka Cusack, she rushes in and asks Mega Man to have mercy and ask her father to stop his evil doings for Dr. Wily. And these lyrics I wrote back in 2005, the summer of 2005, in a perfect state of too much cheese pizza and Dr. Pepper. And I thought that I was in love with this Kalinka girl. But it's a very innocent song, actually. And then, in one of our episodes of my own podcast, me and my friend Sebastian, we were talking about that summer when we played Mega Man 4 and when I wrote the lyrics. And there was a guy who was listening to this episode. And he wrote to me saying, oh, so you're doing songs. Well, actually... do you want me to make a new intro for your podcast? And I was like, sure, why not? Why don't you do it? And he sent in an intro song with the lyrics and all. That was amazing. And I really liked it. So we started using that song as a new intro song. And we used that song all the way until the podcast was canceled the first time. Well, not canceled like what canceled means today. It was canceled because we decided to not do it anymore. Anyway, and then later on, this guy wrote to me again, asking, so in that episode, when you talk about the lyrics that you wrote for Kalinka Cusack from Mega Man 4, do you still have those lyrics? And I was like, yeah, I think I do. And he said, well, I do music, as you know, because I made the intro song for you. Do you want me to maybe do something with this, like create a melody for it? And I was like, sure, why don't you do it? And this guy, of course, was David Almroth, David Almroth, the real genius in Dual Aeon.
The second half of Dual Aeon, then.
Well, yeah.
Which, under circumstances, couldn't be in this. He was supposed to be in this episode as well to have a little bit more discussion between the lyrics and the music, of course, but due to circumstances, he was not able to join in for today.
Yeah, that is correct. But he sends his regards to you.
Yeah, and we, of course, me and the listeners sends our regards to him as well.
Yeah.
So, no, but that is really a good, interesting intro in getting to know each other a little bit. So he was basically a listener of your podcast, Pixelklubben.
Yeah, that is correct.
And through that, you kind of got connected. Was he one of those guys that commented on the episodes, or was this like the first initial, like, oh, you make songs and I can do music?
For me, this was the first time he wrote to us. I'm quite sure.
Okay.
Quite sure. Yeah. So this was actually the first song that we created. And then, since we both liked it, we decided that how about we try to do an EP, which is like 5 to 6 songs, right? And we decided I would do lyrics and he would make the music. And that's how we've been working ever since then. Sometimes I come up with an idea for a song first, and I say it can be something like this or something like that. Or sometimes he sends me a demo, which is just him humming with some simple with a simple demo in the background, and then I start writing a lyric. So some songs are his to begin with, some songs are mine to begin with. And you know what's great about this is that depending on who created what song first, that person, if we ever in a situation where we don't agree on each other, the guy who had the idea for the song is the one who has the veto vote. Which is great. So it can never go wrong. And so far we have made close to 30 songs together, actually. And we never... And it's just been great working with David. He's fantastic. He is the only person I've ever worked with who never says no to any idea. You know, every time when I say something, he always says, yeah, let's try that. And he spends time doing something and then sending it to me for me to listen to, and then have me saying, okay, maybe that was not the best idea. Or I say, oh yeah, you know what? Actually, I think this was a good idea of mine. Let's continue. Yeah.
That's really interesting as well. Like we talked about when we started this podcast, talking about open mind as well. Like, I'm guessing over time you have also tried to look into different kind of genres as well, expanding David's kind of work a little bit. Could it be more connected in his interests as well, or could it be that he's so open-minded that you want to try something and he can explore it?
No, I think he's just a great person. But that's the thing. That's also why the thing is why I think it works, that I have such an easy time working with him. Our interests are the same. You know, songs from the 80s, video game music, but also anime, and Japan and the Japanese language.
But that is something I really think could work well. Having so many things in common, that means kind of you're set on a similar path as each other as well, and might even have some similarities in how you guys think. Yeah,
we have the same references, you know.
Awesome.
But saying something about the music in this, up-tempo, 80s style, Kalinka Kosak. It's a bit footloose too. Maybe Take On Me vibe on the drums. And there's quite a few instruments, actually. It is an electric piano, a real classic, a Yamaha DX7. And then in the chorus, there's also a Korg Poly 6 for some filler synthesizing.
Interesting. And if I remember correctly, this is also David singing this one, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And for people that are not aware, considering this might be like a little bit different since it's now out on Spotify, but this was released back in 2022, was it?
Yes.
Firstly released then?
Yeah. Correct.
It feels like it was longer ago when I listened to this the first time, when it was just like a link online you can go and listen to. And I might be wrong, but I remember seeing a video of David singing into a mic, but I can't find that video. Am I dreaming, or was there a video back in the day?
Wait a minute. You know what? I don't know. I don't know. I think it's about time you do a Lost Media video about this.
Yeah.
I don't know, but honestly, I don't know. I don't know really.
Oh, okay. No, that was just something that popped into my mind. I was like, I remember seeing him in like a profile singing straight into a mic, and I was like, I really like that, but I might be dreaming as well. I mean, it could be.
Could be.
Considering my emotion here, like it really fired up all the nostalgia for on all cylinders on this one. It had this kind of indie synth pop vibe. Was this something you guys both wanted to go for with this?
Yeah, I think originally I wanted it to be even more video game music related, this song.
Okay.
But I'm very happy the way it turned out.
Yeah. Was it something specifically for you listening in? Like you wanted it more VGM style, but in the end you didn't really get that? And when you heard his version of it, did you feel like, but this is actually good too?
Yeah, it was just like that.
Yeah.
But it has something, I don't know if you ever thought about it, but you know, when you start listening to this song, it's actually inspired by another video game, the intro of the song.
Oh.
And that is,
I did not pay attention to that.
You know in Super Mario 64, when you first get the flying cap?
Yeah.
Yeah. That one. The song playing in the background.
Since I haven't played that much of Mario 64, all those tracks, of course, I know of them. If I listen to them, I could point out, okay, this may be a Mario 64 track, but they're not popping up nostalgic-wise because I didn't really own a N64, and it's kind of my least favorite of consoles.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm used to hearing that. You know, in my own podcast, we were called Pixelklubben 64 was the name of the podcast. And because we wanted to defend that console, because we were so used to people talking bad about the Nintendo 64. So it's fine. I'm used to it.
Yeah.
Keep on kicking on it.
For me,
it's
okay.
Okay.
Of course, there are really, really good games on it as well, but I'm not having the same vibe as a lot of other people, and that's kind of what grinds my gears.
That's
so
fine.
for me, who already played PC was looking so much better than 64.
Yeah, but how much fun were those games really?
Yeah. A lot of fun, just saying. Yeah, but continuing a little bit onward. So that's kind of how Dual Aeon met the first time.
Yeah.
And To Kalinka with Love was the first track you did. Of course, now it is To Kalinka with Love, which is also a reference to Kalinka as the character.
And a reference to the Bond movie.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that.
Sorry.
Oh, I love it. Because it's from Russia with Love, if I remember correctly, the name of the Bond movie.
I think that's like the third or fourth Bond movie. Yeah, from Russia with love. And she's Russian. Her father is Russian, so why not?
Now, I was guessing, because Kalinka, you have the Kalinka song from Russia, so I'm guessing there might have been some trivia there connecting her to Russia in some sense.
Yeah.
Because Cossack is not necessarily Russian, because they utilize that in Hungary and so on as well.
That
You
is
have
true.
the Cossacks.
Yeah, the warriors.
Yeah, exactly. So there's, like, I love when it comes so many different kind of references and so on. It just makes it really interesting to me. That's so many references. I mean, just starting with Rockman being a rock and roll robot, basically.
But you know, I prefer. I like Japan and I like the Japanese language, but I really think that Mega Man is a better name. The Western.
Yeah, Mega Man seems stronger than Rockman.
Yeah.
He's just rock. He's not even rock in Rockman. Come on. But considering where the reference came from.
Right. For a while, I thought its name, this is like 20 years ago, but I thought it was named Rockman because of rock, paper, scissors. You know, because you meet the bosses, and the bosses is like rock, paper, scissors style, you know. Water is weak against fire.
Yeah. I love this.
But it wasn't. Can I just ask you, okay, so you said that you like the X series is more your cup of tea.
Yes.
But which is your favorite Mega Man game in X and or NES series?
For me, it's definitely the first one, Mega Man X.
Yeah, it's great. I like that one too.
And it's the music, it is the upgrades and everything. It added so much, I would say, elevation to some extent. What I'm talking about that is you're adding a whole other layer of how levels were designed. And especially since in that game, when you're playing it the first time, you might not think about this, but depending on which order you're completing the levels in, the other levels change.
Right.
And it's just insane.
Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it, because when you played Mega Man 1, 2, and I think I played the 3 on the NES, mostly the first 1 and 2, but it was mostly at friends, so I never owned those games myself. And those were always the same. You meet Snake Man is Snake Man. And play Fireman, it's Fireman. And everything is the same. And no matter how you play them, it's always going to be the same. You might have a power-up that is effective against a boss, for example, but no, not Mega Man X.
Right? That's cool.
Yeah, it is amazeballs to my
It is.
I would say. So, no, but To Kalinka with Love was my favorite one, and it still is one of my favorite ones. And considering how you feel yourself as you're evolving over time, I think is a great kind of segue moving into the next track.
Cool.
Because that one is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And it kind of conveys a little bit what I'm after when I said that this is definitely not your best lyrical work or singing work, because over time I can really feel how you guys, both of you, evolve over time. So, are we ready to dive in?
I'm ready to dive, man.
Yeah, because this one was also very interesting to me. Not a favorite in the beginning, but over time I really love this one. So the next track we're going to listen to is Doki Doki Tropical Kisu.
On a straight corner, shining dawn, just a lonely silhouette, and it appears that the only thing that's warming me, my tears. I just heard you say sayonara to me, that we would only whisper simple words, that we would go on singing like hummingbirds. It was far from saying, and now I'm next to pain, even after you are gone. I'm asking why, once lets my tears, they never seem to dry. So give me back the summer nights time. Doki doki, tropical kisu, doki doki, natsu no tenshi, summer's angel when he hold me down, then you see that I will ever miss you. Please me, take me, make me, doki doki, tropical kisu. Even if you knew that it was time, it was all to me a little bit too soon, and no kiss in the Emerald Lagoon. I just learned it's certain what you've heard for a while. Losing a love, you also lose a smile. So if I'm looking at my tears, never will you remember all, but now eternal blue, even just to save my heart. Don't tell me goodbye, still want to try, strangers in a paradise. The cold, dance under the evening sky. Doki doki, tropical kisu, doki doki, natsu no tenshi, summer's angel when he hold me down, then you see that I will ever miss you. Please me, take me, make me, doki doki, tropical kisu. And in the heat of the moment, when I feel it, I believe in tomorrow's smile, in tomorrow's shine, my only one. Doki doki, tropical kisu, doki doki, natsu no tenshi, doki doki, tropical kisu, doki doki, natsu no tenshi, summer's angel when he
Doki Doki Tropical Kisu. Pop track in a more general fashion, but it has this, and I kinda see in front of me this hotel band playing. Brass instruments are kinda the favorite part in this track for me. Doki Doki Tropical Kisu. Or the first thing that I thought when I heard the Doki Doki, I don't know about you, but I was thinking literature club, the game. So that was like the first reference I had. Crazy. But this is a neat and a happy song, I would say. And considering on another note, just to have this said, because for me it's important to have this visualized to some extent. The cover art of this song is this girl holding this citrus close to her mouth, looking back at us. In the background, it has this classical synthwave colors of yellow, purple, blue, and also we get these squiggly lines that gives off, I would say, like a early 80s vibe. And then, of course, palm trees. We need palm trees when we're thinking about synthwave. But the track itself, it's not synth wavy. It only has this kind of, you were talking a little bit about the nostalgia, being 80s, 90s. And it really gives off this vibe. And I like that. So what was the initial thought of this? Was this a track that David did the music for first and you did the lyrics, or was it you making the lyrics and he did the music?
Oh, okay, so this song, Doku Doku Tropical Kisu, we had made one song called Fighting Ninja Boy that tells a story about a girl who is lonely in her bed waiting for her boyfriend who goes out every night because he thinks he's a ninja warrior. And she's thinking about, like, should I leave him? Or is this my life now? Sitting here alone in bed waiting for him. And that song was sung by a Japanese sort of singer called Megumi Minami. And I wanted to make one more song with Megumi Minami because I loved her broken English. And at that time, it was also soon to be... we were going to release a new like summer single. And we had not just yet decided which song it would be. So... we made one more song with Megumi Minami. And it was this. And I have always been a fan of Palm Trees, Star Tropics, and Lemon Fanta. So I wrote this song.
Okay. So what was the lyrical kind of expectation of yourself when you started this? Like, where do you start when you start making lyrics?
I don't know. Usually,
in this case,
I can tell you one thing. Usually, I don't start with the chorus, which might sound backwards. But for me, usually the verses come first, especially in those songs where I actually want to tell a story, sort of. But what started this song is that you mentioned Doki Doki. And that's how it started, because I remember thinking that I want at least one of our songs to include the Japanese phrase Doki Doki in one of our song title. Like you mentioned, we have Doki Doki Panic, which is the game that became Super Mario Bros. 2 here in the West. And do you know the meaning of it?
I do not, so I would love to hear a little bit more about the Doki Doki meaning.
Well, they have a lot of words like that in Japanese. It's where a word is supposed to also simulate the sound of the word. We have, for example, the word zaza, which means heavy rain, and sasa is supposed to be like what the rain sounds like when it's on a window. And we have the word chu, like in Pikachu. Chu is when you get an electrical shock. So they have many words that also represents the way it's supposed to sound. And Doki is the name of the heartbeat. And being Doki Doki, it can mean that you're either nervous or sexually aroused. Usually nervous, or it's like Doki Doki. Yeah.
So Doki Doki Panic will be nervous panic, kind of.
Yeah, nervous panic, like that. Whenever your heart races.
Arousal panic.
Exactly. but whenever your heart races, that is Doki Doki.
Yeah. So theoretically, it could also be interpreted into being in love.
Yeah, exactly.
Like heart racing and so on.
It can.
So theoretically, it could be like the heartbeat tropical kiss, like your passionate love kiss, for example.
You know what? You're right on it, because the lyrics. The lyrics in this song is about a broken heart down in the tropics. It's about a promise, about a kiss in the Emerald Lagoon that never happened. That's what it's about. Yeah, that's what it's about.
So it's kind of heartbreaking.
Tropical
kiss. Yeah. But I mean, that's beautiful in itself as well. I mean, sometimes when it comes to sad moments, they can become they become stronger emotions in some sense. And that is also something that can be, considering when we're listening to something that is melancholic or something like that, it adds a little bit more to what you are feeling when listening in on this. For this, it feels hopeful to some extent, especially since you guys chose a girl to sing it. I think it might have been a little bit different if a guy sang this one.
Yep.
It might sound a little bit more cheesy, for example.
Yep.
Or harsh, maybe.
And she's not the best singer. But she has passion, and that's what I really, really like. And like I said, her broken English is just perfect. When she says "smilu" instead of "smile."
Smilu. I love this. Now, to me, it doesn't sound broken. For me, it sounds perfect. I love this. Like I said, and. On the topic of having a girl making the vocals, you have a couple of tracks with girl vocals during the time you've been working on these. And are these girls you guys know, or are you looking up suitable vocals to fit the tracks that you're making?
I don't think we know any of them, actually. No.
Okay.
David is usually the one who finds them. I found like 1 or 2 singers, but it's usually David who finds the singers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any clue how he sings them? Finds them?
Do you know what Fiverr is? Fiverr.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
From that
Fiverr
from that website. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're basically taking in a little bit more freelancing singers and maybe not songwriters because you're the songwriter and he's the songwriter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but some instruments and some singers we found there.
Yeah.
I just remember one thing about this song. Don't ask me why, but the drummer of Shaboom has heard the song. And what he said is that his favorite part in the song is the trumpet. Because he said you can hear there's an actual trumpet playing. Because you can hear that it's lagging a little bit, the trumpet, and that is a perfect sound. And I was like, oh, do you like anything else about the sound? And he said, yeah, the trumpet is good. Good.
Yeah. No, I love that he likes the trumpet as well, because the brass instruments was my favorite part of this. I mean, the trumpets, and it sounded like a saxophone was in at one point as well.
Yeah.
And just like he's talking a little bit about having somebody playing an instrument live and recording it, it comes with imperfections, because when you're making a sound library or something like that, and we're trying to replicate an instrument by utilizing a synth, for example, they become more perfect in a sense, because they will kind of sound the same every time you press a key or when you're utilizing it. But when you're pressing a key, and depending on how much you're blowing into the mouthpiece, etc., it creates these imperfections, which kind of becomes the perfection. So considering how much music you're kind of doing, do you know if David works a lot with like live instruments, or does he utilize sound libraries as well?
A mixture between both. Usually in the beginning, it's just sound library. I mean, in the demos, of course. But then, especially throughout the years, the more songs we made together, it doesn't matter if you do podcasts or whatever. You do become more and more careful when you work. You want to sound better and better. So he plays a lot of instruments himself, David, on our songs. But sometimes, like you said, we hire freelance style. Yeah.
And of course, I've talked a little bit on these subjects with composers themselves. Sometimes it's just easier not to buy an instrument, learning it, and then creating a song. It's just easier having somebody else come in, being an expert on that instrument.
As long as an actual instrument.
Most like money.
Yeah, correct.
Exactly. And for me, I actually own one of these mini discs of this track, and in the end, when this episode is live out there, so everybody who's listening in on this is already live, there will be a giveaway on this. And one thing that I like about this CD is there's an exclusive remix on this.
Oh yeah, never released on Spotify or anything. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I was going to ask this, like, this is an exclusive one on this. This was a remix. Was it ever promoted or had a place on the interwebs? Or is it unique on this CD?
Yeah, it's really unique on this CD. It's never, I have a Patreon myself for my podcast, and sometimes I upload weird things there, but I'm not even there. Nowhere. This song has never been released.
That's insane.
Anywhere. Yeah.
So theoretically, I don't know if you created more of these mini discs, but considering the one I have, it says number 6 of 8.
Yeah, that is correct.
Is there only 8?
Yes, there's only 8. So it's
discs.
Rare, exclusive.
It is very limited exclusive. So I would say this is an amazing reason to why somebody should be on my Patreon at this moment then. And this is also a signed copy by you. You actually signed the inside of it. We found
did?
a pen from somebody.
Me and David?
I asked
just
specifically
me?
for it. No, just you. It was only you at that point in time. We were at this event where you were selling some random shenanigans on a table. Yeah. And I met you.
Oh, yeah. I can say something about the format.
You remember it now?
Yeah, now I remember. I can say something about the format too, because maybe that makes someone more interested. It's so, like you said, it's a mini disc, and in Japan,
yes,
all singles in the 80s and 90s released on CD were released on this small size. It's the same size as a GameCube disc, the CD.
Yeah.
So back here in the 90s when we bought CD singles, they were the same size as an album CD. But in Japan they had this specific format. And they also had that for a thing that I think only existed in Japan. They had single DVDs. For example, they released like one episode of one anime, for example, on this same format. This small, but for us here in the West, seeing this format, for us it was the first time on the GameCube. That was the only time. So I want to tell you that if you want to play this record, playing on a top, you should definitely play it on a top loader CD. Do not put it into one of those 2010 MacBooks.
Slide it in.
Exactly, because then you're never gonna see the CD again, and your MacBook is destroyed. But top loader. Yeah.
But it's really cool. So somebody will own 1 out of the 8 remixes, basically.
Correct.
That is amazing, and I love this. I actually don't own a top loader, so I have actually not listened to the remix myself. For you, who most likely have listened to the remix, what could you say about the remix of this track?
You know what? This is a good point in time where David should have been here. I cannot tell you too much. I cannot tell you too much about this remix specifically.
But do you remember if it was a little bit faster type of remix?
Yeah,
or is it similar in BPM?
You know what?
Then we have some sort of tease at least.
Yeah, quite similar. Maybe a bit more up-tempo, but not too much up-tempo.
Yeah. Awesome. And with this, we worked from Kalinka with 2022. Doki Doku Tropical Kisu was released in 2023, so it's about 1 year-ish. Not exactly maybe 1 year, but somewhere around there, give or take.
I'm amazed by how much you know about our releases. I never talked to anyone who knows this much about our releases. You're absolutely right. It was the next year, but not a full year later, like maybe half a year later.
Yeah.
Wow, Chris, I'm impressed.
No, this is exactly what I'm doing all the time, because for me, it's important to put the composers and artists in the spotlight. That's exactly what this show is about. So I can't just go and ask all the questions, because that will make me lazy, and especially not show my passion for doing these interviews. So this is actually an important thing for me.
Oh, great.
No, but I think it's time for us to go to the next one, because next one is more video game related. It is a remix as well, so it's a great segue moving from a remix of Doku Doku Tropical Kisu, as we're going to listen to. And I will have you say this name, because it is a Japanese name of this, and it is so much easier for you to say than my clunky Japanese, who is non-existent. So, Mange, take it away. What song are we going to listen to next?
We are going to listen to the Mega Drive remix of Shinjirarenai.
Shinjirarenai. Did I make it good?
Oh, actually, you make it too difficult. It's Shinjirarenai. Shinjirarenai.
Shinjirarenai. Next time, I'll get it.
No problem.
It's gonna be amazing. So, my emotion for this one. Originally, just to have this said, this was a Mega Drive remix. Originally, the song does come with lyrics. And for obvious reasons, there were no lyrics in this one, I guess. Because there's not a lot of lyrics in Mega Drive music. But, like I said, this is a Mega Drive Genesis remix. Does give off a whole other vibe than the lyrical one. First of all, many might know the Sega sound chip, may not be a favorite of mine, but I cannot avoid that this remix gives off a swinging, and I would say in sections, of blues bar aesthetics. In order to paint a picture here, Smooth Criminal level from Michael Jackson's Moonwalker for Mega Drive and Genesis. It is a shorter emotion on this one, but
that was high praise, Chris. My God.
It was high praise. Yeah. I mean, Michael Jackson, come on. The king of pop, god damn it.
Yeah. The self-proclaimed.
No, but yeah, exactly. No, but when it comes to this track, like I said, Mega Drive is not usually my favorite one. It usually tend to be screechy to me in some extent. Do you maybe understand what I'm talking a little bit about?
100%.
Yeah, but this track didn't really have that screechiness to it, which makes it bearable to me. And there's, I would say, only a handful of tracks that I like that are Mega Drive related. So my first question to you here would be, why and what reference do you have to the Mega Drive in this case? And why you chose to make this track specifically a Mega Drive remix?
It's
David.
No. This one I think well, he should have been here really. But you know what? I think I can answer this one because this goes back to yet again to our song Fighting Ninja Boy. Because that song also had a Genesis / Mega Drive remix on it. And that album cover to the single Fighting Ninja Boy was inspired by, you just mentioned it, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, the cover. Oh. So that is one of the, I don't know, top 20 at least games for the Mega Drive. And wait, I'm losing track here because it becomes too advanced here. Wait. Since the cover of the Fighting Ninja Boy looked like a Mega Drive game, Moonwalker, we wanted to make a Mega Drive remix. That's how we started. And that's how, and David was very good at, okay, so like you said, the Mega Drive sound chip, the Yamaha YM sound chip might not be the two best. You can say that it's like a wild horse. If trained correctly, it's, you can make good tracks of it. But I think David fell in love with making Mega Drive remixes at that time when he made the remix for Fighting Ninja Boy. And he wanted to do another one. And I know he's a Sonic guy. He's a Sonic guy. Yeah. Yeah.
Sonic music is absolutely the best. I don't like the games that much at all, but I love the music and I love the character of Sonic.
Same here. It's
I'm sitting here with a Sonic t-shirt here.
Oh, but it's the opposite of Mario because no one really likes Mario as a character. But you like his games. No, his games is amazing.
He's Mr. Mediocre, come on.
Exactly. What is he really? But his games are amazing. With Sonic, it's the opposite. You don't really like the game, but him as a character, he embraces everything that was early 90s. That whole Bart Simpson.
But for us who grew up so early there, we have a lot of reference not with just the video game. We had the TV shows. Sat-Am, Sonic's Adventure, Sonic X. For me, I have so much more connection to Sonic through the TV series rather than the games. Because what is Sonic's whole shtick? He moves fast.
Gotta move fast.
Yeah, gotta move fast. The blue streak, the blur. How many times have you played Sonic and you felt fast?
I know what
no
you mean.
Time. No at all. Yeah. If that was the only game you got that year, maybe by the end of the year you felt like you were the fast big blur.
Right.
Because it's so much trial and error in those games. It is crazy. No, but returning to the like when we were talking here about fighting Ninja Boy and so on, and I have both of these examples up from the cover of the Ninja Boy and the Moonwalker, and I love the reference that you did. For me, fighting Ninja Boy, when you said like, oh, we have another game that is referenced to, I was like, oh, Shinobi. Last Ninja or something like that, but no, Moonwalker. How come you chose Moonwalker? Was that only because of the Mega Drive reference, or was there another reason why?
Because I used to be a big fan of Michael Jackson as a kid.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why too.
Okay.
And also David, of course. We were both fans of his.
Yeah. That is also pretty good. I mean, it is fun to just see that the references are lining up with you guys as well. And considering also that it is a Mega Drive game as well.
Yeah.
I don't remember which other... I'm pretty sure it released for something else, but I don't remember what.
Arcade and Master System. Maybe even Game Gear, actually. But Master System, I know... Master System, I think, is more... the arcade version is different. It's isometric view. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So there were differences at that? Well, But I'm learning. I love this. This is why I have a podcast. Yay!
Cool. Maybe we should talk a little about the original version of this song.
Yes, please do. For me, I did listen to the original as well, and there are some similarities with the melody and so on, considering that with the Mega Drive, it needs to have a unique kind of sound to it. And of course, the overlapping melody is of course still there, but they do not start the same, which was one of the things I reacted to.
Yeah, right. But what I remember, this song was originally David's idea. But we both wanted to make a song that felt like something straight out of the iconic anime Cowboy Bebop from 1998, with its jazzy soundtrack by a woman called Yoko Kanno. So we wanted to make like a song that would be, in theory at least, like an alternate intro to that anime. So that's why we made this a bit more jazzy feel.
Yeah.
Shinjirarenai, by the way, it means I cannot believe it's true, which is a phrase you hear it quite often if you listen to, well, anime, or even if you watch Terrace House on Netflix. You hear it quite often. Oh, Shinjirarenai. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it's true. And I wrote the lyrics in English first, but I really liked those temporary lyrics that David had used in the demo that he sent. So I decided to keep a lot of those, or at least what I thought he was singing, because, you know, when you record a demo, sometimes you don't emphasize all words too clearly. Anyways, we have got a great help from our dear friend Tokyo Cabin to translate lyrics to Japanese, and she's great in keeping the same story that I have written and also keeping the same rhythm of rhymes, and she's amazing, really. Thank you, Tokyo Cabin, if you're listening in.
That is awesome. And considering on this, because you did send me 2 CDs, the singles of this track as well. So not track, but this track. So you have the Japanese version, the English version, and the Genesis remix of this. And we can also see that we had Kristoffer Rodstedt on drums. We had Jonathan Karlemar on solo guitar. And I can't really... Fukudo Borja on horns. Maiko on Japanese vocals. And Namida
on she's
on
Colombian.
Vocals.
She's Colombian. Yeah. And Maiko is, of course, Japanese. Maiko, so, like you said, we didn't hear her in this version because we just played a remix of the song. But... as a teaser, we will hear Maiko later tonight in this episode.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. I think I know which one it is, but not everybody else knows. I know definitely which one it is.
Yeah, right? We don't have that many
Spoiler.
songs left to play now.
Exactly. One is one and one is another. You're saying no spoilers.
Right. Yeah, but anyway, so the English version of this song still has some Japanese in it. Lyrics that are not included in the Japanese version and vice versa.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it was just some phrases that I thought suited so perfectly. So I wanted them to fit in at least one of the 2 versions. So that we have a Japanese version, English version, and then this Mega Drive or Genesis version.
Yeah. But one thing that comes to mind, which is kind of interesting, especially for me who listen in on what is called new metal. For example, baby metal is a great reference to this. When it comes to new metal, especially in Japan, they really like to have a lot of Japanese, but they love to add English words to sections of the music. Was this also something that you interpreted from the English version then when you added the Japanese line to it in a similar sense?
Yes. Yes.
Short answer, yes.
Yes.
But I love those kind of things because for me, they are doing it because they love the language. They love to add something new to what they already had. And for me, I love Japanese language, for example. I think it's very beautiful. Just like a lot of Japanese people like Swedish because it sounds so melodic, for example. I myself really dislike Swedish though, but that's me.
But you know what? You know what's great about the Swedish language, and also very difficult for beginners of this language, is that we have more vowel sounds than any other language. We have 18 vowel sounds. I think the English has 8 and Spanish has 6 vowel sounds. 18 different.
Oh.
That's why it's, you know, when you learn Swedish, like how can you understand the difference between jag blev buren eller och fågeln sitter i buren? Buren? Buren?
Yeah.
How can you hear the difference? But there are different. You don't pronounce it the same way. But it's so hard for a new beginner of this language. So I'm fascinated by the Swedish language when it comes to that. Just the melody, like you said.
Yeah, a lot of people does like that comes to Sweden and starts learning Swedish or just listening to us talk.
Yeah. My girlfriend, when I ask her, she's a Chinese Singaporean. And when I ask her, so what does Swedish sound to you? She says, kudu kudu kudu, kudu 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 kudu, kudu kudu kudu. I said,
does she speak Swedish today or?
She's learning. She's learning.
She's learning.
She's doing a great job.
That is awesome. I love to talk to, because I have some older colleagues that came from Russia to Sweden, and it seems like Russian has some similarities as well. Even some words kind of means the same, which was like really bonkers to me. Because, well, Russia is not a Germanic, like standard
it's a Slavic
language. It kind of came from the Baltic and up and moved on. So it is so crazy to find similarities and so on, and it seems like the Russian people had an easier time learning the Swedish than others. Like we had the Chinese guy, for example, and he still don't know Swedish.
It's hard. Luckily, my girlfriend, she has English as her first language, so it's easier for her than if she only spoke Chinese.
But that's great. That is absolutely great. No, but considering this track itself, if I remember correctly now, you said David did this one first, right?
Yeah, it was his idea originally. Yeah.
Yeah. And with this, usually when David comes with an idea, you said that he either hums it or he had some shorter example of what he's after.
Yeah.
What's your usual thought process on this? Are you still working with the story like you did with Doku Doku Tropical Kisu? Is that the usual take you always go first for when you listen to something?
I usually, when I come with an idea for a song, it's usually a mixture between I've heard a new type of song on Spotify that I accidentally stumble into, and at the same time I have a story in my head I want to tell in a song. So usually I put those two ideas together. When David's song, well, it's like 80% of all songs you hear, our songs or any person's song, it's about love, right? Or broken love.
Yep.
So David's original demo about this, there was some lyrics that was about broken love in some way. So I just expanded on that. And it's about the woman who sings, she's still in love with that guy. You know, and who can blame her? It has happened to all of us, you know? So yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Has it ever been any situation, because you've been working a little bit. This track released in 2024, so last year.
Oh yeah.
And considering when David comes with a track to you in this case, has it ever been the chorus part which would be the least favorite part to start with for yourself, where he like oh, I really like this piece. I think it's a great chorus. I just need to figure out the rest of it.
Yeah, sometimes that has happened. I think that's the last track that we're gonna play in this episode is one of those, actually. Yeah.
Okay. And how do you feel starting from that point that I would deem your least favorite, because it might be harder for you to work that way around? Working a little bit backwards.
Yeah, but it works that too sometimes when I have an idea when I manage to find a few words that sound very cool after each other. You know, it's a good...
Yeah.
That sounds like... How can I describe it? You know, sometimes you find a phrase or you put words together and you just feel like, damn, these words sound good together.
You're like connecting the dots in some sense of a large puzzle that needs to be solved. And in the end, it creates this magnificent kind of puzzle piece with a beautiful kind of vista view, a story it tells.
Oh, yeah. Writing lyrics is a lot of hard work. It's a lot of like, damn it, I want to say this, but it's only 8 syllables in this line. How can I say the same thing? Because I really want to say this same thing now, because story-wise, this part needs to be told around here. How can I make it shorter?
Yeah.
Okay, I do it this way. Oh no, wait, but then it doesn't rhyme anymore. Okay, damn it. What do I do? You know? It's a lot like that, yeah.
Do you usually look upwards a lot, or...?
You mean the meaning of them?
Not meaning, but if you try to figure something else out, if the lyrics doesn't really fit the full, like, how the transition or bridge is working within a track, and you're like, okay, I like we told here, you want to tell a story, how can you tell it with another sense of wording? Do you usually tend to look through like books in order to find, or do you Google's like, oh, other words for this?
Yeah, that happens too. Other words, like synonyms. Yeah, it happens. Yeah.
Okay. I can definitely agree on, I never really made lyrics for an original track. I myself are way more into parody, for example. I love like Weird Al, so many of the tracks and lyricism I've done have been references to video games. For example, when I was younger, I did a couple of tracks with lyrics for the orcs in Warcraft 3.
Oh.
And it's all about just connecting the dots of having references from the game and so on. I kind of have already a framework set. So considering when you're getting a track, for example, do you even have an idea from start? You're like, oh, it's going to be Heartbreak again. Or do you feel like you want to have a table of bingo? It's like, yeah, today we're doing funny things happening in the park.
I would like to make more funny songs. Like, for example, Kalinka with Love. Of course, it's a love song, but it's also just funny. I would like to create more songs like that, actually. But it's okay, you know. It's like we said before, like 80% of all songs you hear are about love. And love is something that involves all of us at least once in life, I hope. So, I don't know. It's really, you can tell it in so many different ways. Speaking of Weird Al, I just want to say that those few times I've been forced to sing karaoke. I sing terribly. I cannot sing at all. But when I'm forced to do karaoke, I always do The Saga Begins by Weird Al Yankovic.
I love it. That is one of my favorites as well. I can sing the whole song without looking at the screen.
Me too. We should. Oh my god, we should do it together sometime. If you and I ever in a situation where we do karaoke, we definitely need to do that, and everybody will be impressed.
We should definitely plan it out already.
It's so fast, and they don't even look at the lyrics. Those guys are amazing.
We should definitely do that. We definitely need to plan that out.
Did you know that Gagan say that he's not even old enough to shave? It's amazing.
Yep.
Anyway.
Oh, I love that. No, it is an absolutely great song, and for me, singing it here in Nyköping where I live, there's not a lot of people that know about this song. They know the original, of course, because it's American Pie song. And
of course,
American Pie. Yeah. Well, that was Madonna. Then it's the original. But a lot of know the Madonna version. Anyway. No, so for me, singing about was like, hey, do we have any Star Wars fans here tonight? And there was like, you can hear the crickets going out in the rock bar.
But even
And then
though,
I just
okay,
start.
but even though if you would say, do we have any Star Wars fans here tonight? Maybe you get a, yeah. But those people
Yeah.
are born 2001. They have no idea about this song that was a hit like 3 months back in 1999. They have no idea about this
Yeah.
song. So you will not, they will not be included in this anyway. You know?
Yeah. They're the wrong Star Wars era, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, anyway,
Anyway.
I think it's time for us to continue to the next one. And of course, we're not gonna spoil anything, but it is about, and I would say that title track here, Hotto Duragono.
始まりは天元曰く夜のしじま月下る麗しの竜翡翠のごとしその昔天元曰く青き光血を切り裂き国開く鋼の街を皆の者叫ぶ明日の光はどこ皆が恐れる竜は大空滑る王者怒り山をも揺らす待っているホットドラゴン息吹星に変えても愛には届かぬ愛だけ休まぬ待っているホットドラゴン夢で見た竜の住みか翡翠の涙緑の霧も隠しきれぬあなたの孤独竜と飛んだひそやかな夜のしじま広げた翼胸焦がしたキスより熱く街明かり遥か星影紛れていった皆が恐れる竜は大空滑る王者怒り山をも揺らす待っているホットドラゴン息吹星に変えても愛には届かぬ愛だけじゃ済まぬ待っているホットドラゴン窓を開ければ見えるよ So never burn your heart out Never burn your heart out皆が恐れる竜は大空滑る王者怒り山をも揺らす待っているホットドラゴン息吹星に変えても
Fading out the amazing Hot Dragon. A little bit more speed in this one. It feels more synthwave. But that's what I like the most. This whole track is most definitely for me as a contender for an anime opening. I get the same feeling of this song like I did watching Giga Nagerobushi Gin, or Meteor Gin, if some people know that. If you don't know the intro name of that, it is the intro for the old series Silver Fang, which was, when I was young, I actually had it on VHS. Yay, I'm that old. The track, it really captured the old aesthetics here. even though this is a new track, I was really mesmerized by this song, and I may have listened to this track on repeat one too many times.
That's amazing.
Yeah. What do you think about that emotion, first of all? I know you like anime.
I do. And it's interesting that you mentioned Silverfang, because I remember we talked about it when it was close to finished. We were both like, wait a minute, does part of it sound like Silverfang? And we sent it to a friend who we know loves Silverfang and asked him to, what do you think about this song? Or we did not mention Silverfang. But he did not say anything about that, even though we know he's a big fan of Silverfang. So yeah. We could just say it briefly, because Silverfang is just really a thing here in Sweden and in Finland. It's not even a big anime in Japan. Silverfang is about a bear hunting dog and his relationship to his trainer.
Named Silver. And he joins this little boy who wants to hunt this giant bear. Akakabuto, who doesn't really go to sleep like he should, because he got shot in the brain by the father of the boy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the first premise of this story. And you will basically in this series follow Silver. And it's just heartbreaking. And I love this. And the full Japanese version of this is even more heartbreaking. The VHS is just a Swedish version of it. And I would say PG-3 almost.
PG-3?
But the Japanese version is like PG-15 or something. Holy crap. Yeah. There's like so much death and blood.
It is.
Yeah, it is crazy. No, but yeah, interesting. I love that you guys talked about Silverfang, and I'm the one name dropping it though.
Yeah.
But that is one of my favorite animes back in the day that I really loved and adored. I could listen to that intro on repeat over and over again. And back in the day, unless you downloaded it, the easiest way for me to get it was to listen on some weird page with anime songs collected. And there, just press play all the time. It wasn't even a loop button. You needed to press play every time. And that track, even though I found a full version of it that is almost 3 minutes long, I usually listen to the main theme, which is only at most like 1 minute.
Yeah. Those were the wild days.
But it's so beautiful. Yeah. But it does remember also, for me, I know you like Star Singer a little bit more, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Yes. Star Singer.
And considering that era of intros, that they kind of had similarities to each other in the, what is it, early 90s? Around that point, right? Or is it late 80s? I'm a little bit unsure.
Oh, you mean those anime? Those late 70s.
Yeah.
Well, Star Singer.
70s.
Yeah, Star Singer's late 70s. Silverfang is mid 80s.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. No, I think I started watching these around mid 90s, I think. And it was actually a friend of mine who found the VHS and on a market and bought them. And then it's like, hey, Chris, we should definitely check this out. And then we watched it and we were mesmerized.
Right.
Fuck. Oh, it was so much fun. No, but also with this, we're having the female vocal, Maiko, back on this one. How did she feel to return making? Because I'm guessing this track was also released in 2024, but I don't have any specific dates on when they were released. But I'm guessing they were not like next to each other. It's just
let's see here.
Immediate.
Yeah, they were not next to each other, like half a year in between. This song was released now. It was released only like from when this episode is released. It was released 3 weeks ago, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's quite new. Yeah. Quite new. And it is really good.
Oh, thank you. So, and the story behind this, so expanding on Doki Doku Tropical Kisu, I wanted to make a song that was even closer to the sound of Akina Nakamori and such city pop singers from Japan in the 80s. So at that time, we had already done two songs in Japanese. The Christmas single Tokimeki Christmasu, and then of course Shinjirarenai. And we were both keen on, both me and David, keen on continuing down this path of making songs in Japanese. And at this time, I also remember playing a song for David by everybody's favorite, Jackie Chan. I apologize for my girlfriend to saying that. But when David visited Stockholm, I played that Jackie Chan song for him. And I said, I think our next Japanese song should be something like this. And David was very cool. After hearing that song, I remember he said, oh yeah, I can compose something like that. Watch me. And then 1 hour later, you were sort of done when it comes to the melody. But then we were sitting next to each other. Like I wrote the lyrics at the same time as he was continuing with the song. Yeah.
It was iterating on the process because the framework of the first iteration was kind of done within that first time span.
Yeah. And it's nice just to sit next to each other and be able to spitball ideas and record them as they come up.
In this case, since you said you were close to each other, were you working side by side in this case? Because I'm only guessing now because we haven't really discussed that part. I'm guessing David is working from home and you're working from home and you're just sending most of the files.
Yeah.
In this case, were you working in the same space or were you still separate?
We have done a few songs where we sit close to each other, where we sit in the same room. And there is this one, and then one song that has not been released yet, but it's supposed to be the sound of Michael Jackson's Dangerous album. New Jack Swing is the name of that genre. Yeah. Usually that process is much faster where we finally able to sit next to each other. We can do songs faster that way than where we have to, like you said, send files. So I send him a text, and
and you work when you have schedule for it, etc.
Exactly. You know what it's like.
Yeah, but is there a specific reason why you usually end up at certain times working together? Is it because you want to release, like, oh, we haven't released something in a while, let's do a mind-boggling like set together? And
David tries to visit Stockholm like twice a year at least, and then we try to meet up and we find time to sit and do songs together. Yeah, interesting. How far are you living? We don't need to name which, but approximately, like, how far do you live from each other? 400 kilometers.
So it is quite a bit.
Yeah, it is. But it's not not a secret. I live near Stockholm and he lives near Gothenburg. So yeah.
Okay. I don't know how like private everybody else does. Why usually I tiptoe around these.
But that's
if
good.
He's open about it, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I mean, considering Gothenburg is actually easy, it's only one train at least to it. But time is of the essence to set everything up.
It is.
Yeah. But I really like that working separate, but also having some at least 1 or 2 times per year where you can meet up and work a little bit together. Do you usually try to make this more of a fun experience together? Do you usually just focus on working, or do you usually tend to do something together fun, for example? I know making music could be fun as well.
We usually try, originally we usually try focusing on having fun, but then it's always like suddenly we realized, oh my God, we'll be sitting here now 10 hours working on this song. that has happened, when we both...
Yeah.
And it's that sort of magic, when you're both in the zone, you're both 100% involved in creating a song, and time just flies. And that happens so rarely the older you get. When you were a kid, you could sit and play with Legos and time just flew away. You didn't even think about time. But today, as an adult, it happens so rarely. But it can happen when I sit with David and create music. Definitely. Yeah.
How does that feel for you? Because I'm guessing time flies is of essence here. Because when you're having fun, time really is woo!
Yeah, it is. It is.
So how does it feel for you when that happens? When he's not that often, and when you're getting that time, it goes quickly.
It feels okay. If at least
it's okay.
I'm just glad that we're both happy to create music too.
Yeah. I know myself as like when you have that kind of person, it's kind of sad. It's already over. Yeah. I had that with my half brother, for example, who was only every second weekend. Like every time he came, it was the most amazing time ever, and every time he left after 2 days of meeting him, that sucked.
Yeah. Oh, no.
It was so sad. because he was such a... Like, I really looked up to him. He's the guy who got me into video games and PCs and so on. That's why I'm the type of gamer I am today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Important guy.
Yeah, very important guy to me. So for me, he made such an impact, and I'm guessing both you rub off on David and David rubs off on you, having this creative kind of mindset to it, and that's why you can have these 10 hours just pass by in a jiffy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh shit, we need to eat as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. But saying something more about the song, this Hot Dragon, the verses have a lot of pauses, which give room for some instruments in between the lines. But then the chorus is quite busy vocally, which gives a nice contrast.
It is.
And that, of course, is a key change at the very end to reach like a Schlager climax. The last
interesting.
Chorus. Yeah.
When it comes to the set, the music style of this, it has a little up-tempo kind of style. The style of the music doesn't really feel very Schlager, I would say. But I can definitely see it, like hear it now that you're talking about it. But it was not my initial thought on it.
No,
that's interesting.
I think you're right, but it's just that you know that key change, the higher pitched last chorus is typical for Schlager. But the rest of the song might not be too much of that genre.
Yeah, no, but I like the idea of it, of how you kind of did that, and like I said, I can now that you're mentioning it, I can hear it as well, like understand the function of it. But it was not my initial thought. Of course, I'm not listening too much Schlager overall, but I do know of Schlager and do listen to it from time to time, but it's not like a favorite genre of mine. So it wasn't, for me, it was more the nostalgic kind of vibe to it that was like really hitting home with this track.
We should maybe say, if there's any international listener, in some countries outside of Europe, Schlager is called German pop. I don't know if that makes it more clear to international listeners. But Schlager, if you don't know what we're talking about, is also called German pop.
Okay. Interesting. Or people can just listen to Eurovision Song Contest music and get a little bit of a understanding of what Schlager could be. Yeah. A lot of people know about Eurovision today, and especially it seems to be growing a lot in the US. So
really?
That might be a great example of what... There have been a new release. I don't want to like take over the spotlight in any sense. So there have been a song referencing to comedy, Schlager, or Eurovision, and it's very popular right now. But I'm not gonna spoil that thing here because we're focusing on Dual Aeon.
Okay, but that sounds interesting though.
Yeah, we'll take it into pause when we listen to the next song. So, well, everybody else is listening to the world premiere. Is there anything you want to say about the track before we're rolling it, Mange?
Well, when we made this, we discussed a few different topics, me and David, what our next single would be. And it was originally supposed to be released for Halloween, actually the year after we released our Halloween song called Electrical Mechanical Skeletal. And we wanted to make like a spiritual sequel to our song Zombie Dream from 2022. And David sent me a demo, and I remember that he said making this song that he was inspired by the original Transformers intro song. Yeah, we can, that's enough for now. We can say a bit more after the song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. As I said, this is the world premiere of this track, and the track's name is The Warrior.
Faster, fading once again. Nothing's ever gained. Wandering endlessly.
The Warrior! Now we talking. This is not a pop or a synthwave style that we heard before in this episode, like you might have noticed. We're getting a more of a grunge style here that in this track, listening to these lyrics of this, it gives more of a thematic of Mad Max to me. Rock just fits well there, and it's not just about cars or anything else in this, listening in on the lyrics specifically, but it's more of the warrior of the wastelands. And it's not much of a wasteland either, because in the lyrics it's specified by multiple kingdoms. The never-ending battle rages on across the century is also the finishing words of this track.
Yeah.
I really like this one. It felt special, and I couldn't really pinpoint what we were kind of after. Like I said, it gives me a little bit of Mad Max, but it's not Mad Max, is it?
Oh, well, you're not that far off, really. Because, okay, so like I said before we listened to the song, David, I think he was inspired by original Transformers intro song. Then he sent me a demo, but I remember I had really troubles coming up with lyrics for this song at first. But then David, for some reason, he sent me a picture and told me, I was thinking lyrics-wise something like this. And that picture was a guy wearing leather, sitting in a desert, surrounded by monsters. Very, like you said, you mentioned Mad Max, very post-apocalypse. And it reminded me a lot of the old comic book, Curse of the Spawn. And then the lyrics just came
Curse of the Spawn.
Yeah, it's a spin-off to the Spawn comic books by Todd McFarlane.
Ah.
Yeah. But then the lyrics just came to me, and it was quite fastly written after that.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, theoretically, you could have the game Wasteland.
Don't know.
Wastelanders? No, Wasteland. Kind of a Fallout kind of vibe to it, but they wanted to make their own kind of shtick in a post-apocalyptic world with a lot of robots and so on. And it kind of resembles the first two Fallout games, because then with the third one, they transcended into the 3D.
Okay.
So they went back a little bit to the basics, and having this guy in the desert with a leather and monsters around them feels a little... It gave me a little bit Wasteland there. But yeah, interesting that I wasn't too far off at least. I was in a post-apocalypse at least.
No, you were right on. Yeah.
Yeah. But how does it feel? Because now I don't recall each and every song you've done. But have you done a rock song before?
Yes. We made one called Zombie Dream. That was my... I
don't think I've listened to that one.
Oh, you should. It's a picture of a skeleton, the album cover, and it's a Iron Maiden flirt. That song.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Considering this with having so little, because you are primarily this like pop synth band. That's mainly what you've been making music for. So exploring these more rock thematicisms on this. I'm guessing this is more of a David's work in this case, like considering that David came up with this first in this case.
Yeah. It's definitely him to begin with. But at the start, it had no lyrics, no title, no nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. But considering like the rock thematicism or genre in this case, is this something you like yourself, the rock of it? Considering that you like more of a retro style as well.
You know, when it comes to rock, it's so weird. There's only like two bands that I can really listen to and enjoy it 100%. And that is one band called Praying Mantis. And then there's...
Praying Mantis, okay.
Yeah, and then there's, of course, Iron Maiden. But I'm very specific when it comes to my Iron Maiden. I don't like the 4 first albums. I only like Iron Maiden from 1984's Power Slave up until Fear of the Dark. Those albums I really like. But after that and before
Fear of the Dark live version.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. Yeah, so that is...
it is so good.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is... I only listen to rock like that. And it's very... And even my Iron Maiden, like I just said, it's very specific what I can listen to.
Yeah. I had a very small period where I listened to Iron Maiden. For me, Fear of the Dark is a classic. Yeah. I really love and adore the one. Especially, I don't like the studio version. I only listen to the live version, for example.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then the other one, and this is Yeah, but it's the vibe, the feeling that you get when you hear the crowd singing together with them.
Yeah.
Every time I get goosebumps. It is so beautiful. And the other song that I have is Can I Play With Madness?
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
only nostalgia when we were playing role-playing game. And it was like, can I throw this fireball? I was like, no. But can I play with madness? So that's kind of how we did. And it became a thing. We were always like, can I play with madness?
That's funny.
And
I
it
like
was
that.
always no by the DM. Yeah.
I like that.
No, but one thing I noticed here, as we were listening to this, we also discussed a little bit surrounding the ending here. But one thing I noticed looking on this single, you have this Magma Jetman production on this, on the single. And you said you had a little bit of a reference information here, because for me, is this a reference to a Mega Man thing?
Magma Jetman. No, so actually,
It sounds like
it's I started like this when me and David started this music project 3 years ago. We sooner or later you need to come up with a name for the band or name for the project, right? And we wanted something that sounded synthwave 80s, and we had so many suggestions. And then in the end, we landed on Dual Aeon because David said, I want something that is symmetric, that same amount of letters. Dual is 4, Aeon is 4. He said, that's good if you want to make stickers or merchandise for the future. It's good that it's symmetric. And I was like, okay, sure, we do that. But then I realized that, wait a minute, but Dual Aeon, David, that's your initials. DA. And I was like, did you know? And he was like, no. And I was like,
maybe.
And I was like, okay, but never mind. It's a great name, so let's go with that. But then when you are supposed to upload your songs to Spotify, you need to have a name for your record label. And it specifically said on DistroKid, as we use it actually said it doesn't have to be an actual company. Just write anything. I think that was actually what he wrote. So I was like, my initials is MJ. I need to come up with something. So Magma Jetman just came to me. So MJ, it's so yeah.
But maybe it came to you because you are a fan of Mega Man back in the day.
Could be.
Because it could theoretically be one of the Robot Masters.
From the X
Magma
series, from the X series, right?
Yeah.
No, but wait, no, they always
have Magma Man. And you have Jetman.
Yeah, but X series is always animals. Yeah, but still though, yeah.
Yeah.
Magma Jetman. Yeah. So that's the story of Magma Jetman and
Armored Armadillo, Storm Eagle,
Chill
etc.
Penguin.
Is the X series. Chill, yeah, it's pretty chill. Exactly. He's so chill he dies first every time.
Right? You always start with him. Poor guy.
Yeah. But that's because you want to slide. That's the only reason.
Yes.
So, but yeah. No, but interesting that you're working with initials. But considering that you have a little bit of a middle name as well, how come you didn't add a D to this?
But it's okay. So my name is Dylan, but Dylan is my own.
Yeah.
It's my own.
You took it yourself.
Yeah, it was when I did my military service, and we were supposed to finish military service. Me and my friend there, we talked about, how should we celebrate this? And he said, I don't know, should we go and add a name? I was like, sure, why not? What name are you thinking of? And he said, Che, as in Ernesto Che Guevara. And I was like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
What should I have? And that was the time when I listened to a lot of Bob Marley, Bob Dylan, and Simon & Garfunkel. So I was like, how about Dylan? Yeah, so we went, and 3 days later, I got my paperback where it says, congratulations, your name is now changed. You now have a second name.
Interesting. Just like that. Just like, hey, I'm going to go and get a second name.
Yep, just like that.
Yeah.
And I remember it specifically said on those papers that we were supposed to sign, it said, you cannot have the name of a company, aka Posten or Aftonbladet. It actually said, it said like, in the paper, and I remember. Posten is post office and Aftonbladet is a newspaper in Sweden. And yeah, I remember that.
It's like, please don't. It's not going to work.
Don't even try Posten.
It's like, what? Exactly.
But I identify as Posten.
Come on. Yeah, it's today. That would be that. Yeah, but as we have the Warrior in the background going on, this was the world premiere. It will be released in 2025, and we don't have a specific date, but we do know that it will be the next single. And you had a little bit more information to add on this.
We could just say sometime this spring, we can say. Yeah.
Sometimes this
It
spring.
might even be this month, actually. But yeah, this spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming out to Spotify. And
So Q1.
Q1.
Yeah. Q1 is January, February, and March.
Oh,
So somewhere in Q1.
I thought you meant they were supposed to cue this song. Cue this.
Yeah, cue this one. That's definitely. I mean, if people did like that, definitely just go in and follow Dual Aeon on Spotify in order to just get that latest release all the time.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah, sure.
most definite.
And we should spell it. You know, I can tell you this. If you are a listener and you're right in the middle of the process of creating a band or creating whatever, a fanzine or whatever, in hindsight, make a name that is easy to pronounce for everybody and easy to spell. Dual Aeon is D-U-A-L-A-E-O-N. It's not too easy to spell, actually. But, yeah.
For people like us who watched movies named Aeon Flux, for example, is I think it's even a comic, right? We know a little bit about this, but if you're hearing this for the first time, it can be confusing.
Yeah.
Because Aeon can be just Eon if you're hearing it a little bit twisted.
Yeah.
And, well, you're not going to find it then. So, yeah, it's great when you're spelling it out. And I love when you talked about how you wanted the logo and everything. And you said, like, Dual is 4, Aeon is 4. I was like, but Dual is 2. And then I just figured, yeah, I was talking about the letters.
Oh, sorry.
Not the meaning of Dual. No, it was just my mindset. It was like, but Dual is 2. So it's just silly me and my mind.
No, don't worry about it.
I love
Actually, the first time that we were played on local radio, the hostess, she said, that was Fighting Ninja Boy by Dual Aeon. I was like, sure. And I was like, sure, that works too. That works too. She was like YOLO, because after that, they actually tried to pronounce it. And that's when I realized, but it's not her fault. You know, you should have a name that's easy to pronounce and easy to write.
But I'm thinking as well, I mean, it is English in any shape or form. It's not a Japanese name like
and it's not, but
me trying to say the single's name.
I'm thinking more about Swedish people, you know, when you talk about it. And of course, this local radio was in Swedish too, so it's not too easy for it.
Yeah. But it's interesting always when it comes to this, because for me, when it comes to names, you're always saying it in the form it is shaped in. Of course, it's not easy for me to say something Japanese, but I'll try my best. I'm not gonna say Doki Doki Tropical Kisu in a Swedish kind of accent. Or something like that, because that would sound weird. Dual Tropical Kisu. Like, what the hell is happening?
That sounds good too, actually.
Could work. It's broken English, right? That's why it works.
Quite broken.
So when am I recording Tropical Kisu Swedish version then?
Oh my god, that would be excellent.
It's like the older games we got in Swedish as well, like Diablo, Syndicate Wars, etc. It's good old days. No, but moving on anyway. We've been on a little bit of a off topic here. I have two final questions, but before I feel like I can close what is Dual Aeon. And if you're ready for it, the first one is gonna be the challenge. What is the biggest challenge of you when you're writing for music for the projects that you do?
Inspiration. I seldom have problem with inspiration. I like I said, I did have it for the Warrior, so that is not the problem. I would say that the problem is making it all fit without losing the original idea that I have for the song. Sometimes I realize that you have to give up on your original idea because you have found something that actually works. It works better. Sometimes you have to get away for the song. You know what I mean? Sometimes you try too hard and you want it a certain way or a certain style. But get away for the song and give into the music. Just what fits. What actually fits. And then you have to sometimes forget a little about your original idea, what you really wanted for the song, because nobody will care, those who listen to it, because they will care, does it sound good or does it not? Because music is music firsthand. It's not, if they want a story, you know, people can read a book or read poems, you know? Right? But and that's something that I had to teach myself during this process. That yes, it's good to tell a story, but music is things that sound good. So focus on that and not the story.
Do you have any sort of frameworks, like when you're getting stuck with something and you feel like, okay, I need another perspective or something? Do you have any functionality that you planned out for yourselves? Like, this is how I can help myself get another perspective. Like, do you go for a walk, for example, if you're stuck?
I just do something completely else. Just do something completely else, because I know when I'm stuck, it's not gonna. I cannot do anything about it. So I do something completely else, and maybe then I put on an episode of an anime, and then suddenly they say something there. Wait a minute, what did she just say? And I go back and I listen to it. And I was like, damn, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Do you have any specific anime that have helped you more than others?
No, maybe Ranma.
All the questions.
Ranma and One Half, maybe.
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah, Ranma is so good.
Yeah, maybe that one.
I really love Ranma.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It's hilarious, and it touches subjects that are interesting.
Yeah. No, it's amazeballs. It really is. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Yeah. And continuing onward with the last question, considering Dual Aeon, and it is the achievement. What is to you the biggest achievement you've done so far as a project, or what you think have been achievement for yourself working with the lyrics, for example?
Honestly, it's talking to someone like you who knows our songs that well, because that has never happened before. So that is actually the biggest achievement of us yet. We don't really talk about achievements, me and David, that much, like what we want to do, because we just want to do songs. I think if we will ever get recognized or get achievement, that is still to come. Yeah. No achievement.
Do you have any personal achievements?
No. I remember when we started this project, I had, I want to do a song like that, I want to do a song like that, I want to do a song like that. We have done most of those. And throughout the progress, I've discovered more genres and more things I want to do within this project. So it's like you get forward, but then you have learned new things, which makes you, but now I still have more things to do on my to-do list, because now I want to do a song like that and a song like that. No, I don't think Dual Aeon yet has any achievement to be bragging about at all, really, except that we have done so many songs that I'm actually quite proud of.
And you should.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, but for me, I'm definitely going to keep following this project, listening on tracks, and especially now listening on the tracks that I missed as well. And I hope people who listen in on this episode also can get a more glimpse of understanding how the lyrics and a little bit about the music, how it was composed, etc., even though we couldn't go that into detail on that sense. But we listened to 5 very different tracks in some sense, because they touch on different aspects, even though if some of them had similarities on the theme they were singing about. Is there anything you would like to add before we're closing down the chapter of Dual Aeon in this podcast?
Not really, except that I really miss David. He should have been here.
Yeah, he definitely should have been here. Maybe next time.
Yeah. Or now you're going to do an episode with only him. You can ask him exactly the same questions and see if he answers completely different answers.
It's like, no, he did not think. He was all wrong with that answer.
Dual Aeon? No, we've never been called Dual Aeon. Like, oh my God.
It's Dual Aeon.
Yeah.
Anon.
That's...
No. But yeah, then we're closing down a little bit on Dual Aeon as a project for this podcast, and we're moving over to you, Magnus. Considering with everything, you're not a full-time lyricist working with this project only. You do a lot of other things. Is there anything coming up that you would like to promote here in the podcast?
Okay, yeah, maybe two things. First of all, my podcast Pixelklubben, but that one is only for Swedish listeners, or I should say Swedish-speaking listeners, is still up and going, releasing about one episode a month. Currently, I'm into Master System games, Sega Master System, so I'm on a quest there to find a game that can get full score. We're given some games and some shows or animes we talked about. We're given our maximum score 8 out of 8, which is because of 8-bit.
Yeah.
So 8 is our highest score. But no game yet has on Master System had gotten 8 out of 8. So I'm on a quest. I'm looking through the library and I play games. And we see how. I think eventually I will find. Other than that, I've been a part of a project to translate a Spider-Man comic from the 80s. And that one is coming out sometime now in February. It's supposed to come out. So, yeah, for those of you who read or speak Swedish, it's called Retrobokklubben. You can Google that and see their upcoming releases. And if you see one called Spider-Man, Sagan om den svarta dräkten, it's been translated to Swedish by yours truly.
Ooh, interesting. Fun little side project as well.
Yeah, right. But it was like a boy dream of mine. You know, in the 90s, I read Mega Marvel, which was like a compilation comic we had in Sweden. So, you know, being able to translate similar comics, you know, yeah.
Yeah. And if people really like this and want to talk to you, for example, is there any way they can contact you?
No.
Or maybe as Dual Aeon, if they have any contact to the duo in a sense or form.
No. But I think the best way is to find Dual Aeon on Instagram. It's just hashtag Dual Aeon. Let me spell it one more time. DUALAEON. Dual Aeon. On Instagram.
Yeah. And of course, for people who don't want to write everything down, all the links for Dual Aeon will be provided in the show notes as well. So people don't need to write everything down right away. Just take a minute, go to the show notes and click on links there.
You're making it too easy for them.
Yeah. I'm that type of guy. I'm going the extra mile. We talked a lot about this in the latest episode.
Oh, you did?
And people who haven't listened to that should listen. So, but yeah. With this episode, as this goes live, we have 2 rewards. It's going to be Shinjirarenai. Yeah, I'm saying not this again. The single with the Japanese, English, and Genesis remix that we'll listen to, together with an awesome, I would say, foiled Dual Aeon sticker, where you look like futuristic girls having some sort of sci-fi weapons. That kind of reminds me of Time Crisis pistols to the arcade. And then, of course, a physical reward of the mini disc of Doku Doku Tropical Kisu, including the remix. This is the 6 out of 8, and it's also signed by, not yours truly, but Magnus truly. And also a really glittering Doki Doki Tropical Kisu giant sticker. So it's going to be 2 amazing rewards for our Patreon backers to collect from this episode.
Awesome.
And yeah, it is an exclusive remix. Don't forget that. You can do whatever you want if you can use the disc.
Right. Play it in your GameCube. Try that. Play it in your GameCube.
Yeah, exactly. Play it in your GameCube. That's we want to see somebody play this in their GameCube that wins it, hopefully. If not, they buy a GameCube just to play it, right?
Right. I just love when you say Mange Truly, because that would be an awesome name for a podcast. I was just about to say if I ever do a podcast, but I've had a podcast since 2011. But if I ever do a podcast, I would call it Mange Truly.
Yeah. Maybe it could be a new segment, Mange Truly. And then you just continue. He truly loves this. Truly distastes that.
We're onto something here.
We're onto something.
No,
new podcast incoming in your ears soon.
Yeah, but you know what? What I'm mostly looking forward to is singing The Saga Begins on karaoke with you. Sometime before we're too old.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we hit 80, you and I will do that.
I will definitely make sure we will do it this year. Let's say it like that.
Okay, because what are the chances of meeting someone who likes that song too so much and can sing it? You know? Let's do it.
That does not happen often at all. Just finding somebody that also likes Weird Al doesn't happen too often.
But I don't like him too much. I only like a few songs.
Not out in the wild.
I only like a few songs of his, actually. But yeah.
Yeah, but The Saga Begins is a number one, at least.
Yes.
But yeah, with that said, I want to thank you, Mange, for joining in to talk about your project Dual Aeon that you have, working with the lyrics and working together with David that works with the music. It's been a blast getting to know you a little bit more. I know I've already talked to you privately, myself, meeting you out in the public, etc. But it's been amazing to get to know you and talk to you a little bit more private here.
No. Thank you. You're so well prepared, and it's been amazing, so smooth to be a guest here.
Smooth McFly, right? No. No, but yeah. We're closing down this episode, so if you did like this episode and you want to listen to other episodes much like this one, with interviews with composers and artists that are behind the music that we love and adore, you find other episodes of the Gameable Audio over on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Pocket Casts. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, just search for Gameable Audio and you'll find us there. Feel free to follow and comment on one of our social medias, either on Facebook or on Instagram. Just search for Gameable Audio and you'll find us there. And just following and commenting helps a lot to make others find these episodes. So if you like this and you don't want to share the episode per se, just interact with the posts and everything and everybody else will see them naturally. You don't need to share them, but sharing does help. And if you want to financially support this project and also be able to get these rewards, physical rewards, god dang it, support us on Patreon, Gameable Audio there as well. And it's everything from $1 up to $10 that is helping financially. And there are also physical rewards that you will get over time if you're on $5 or the $10 tier. And the more cash you're financially helping this podcast with in order to upgrade, buy the music and everything, the better. And the more chance you are to get these rewards as well. But everybody has a chance that becomes a Patreon backer. And the current awesome backers that we have today is Daniel Olemark, Mike Björkholm, Lars Schenström, Titte Schenström, Kevin Wikström, Sanders Wikström, Mats, El Kebabo Tapper Holmqvist, Alexander Halldén, and Robin Jonsson. Thank you so much for being part and supporting this podcast. And links to where you can either buy and support, in this case, from Dual Aeon, you will be able to find those in the episode description. And in the next episode theme, we're not going to have a special of any kind. We're going to talk a little bit about the theme of Metroidvanias. Mange, is this something you're familiar with? Metroidvanias?
Of course I'm familiar with it. It's not one of my favorite genres.
It's like, never heard of it.
Yeah, what is that? Don't you mean Castlevania?
Yeah, what is it?
I cannot...
No, I'm talking about Metroid.
Yeah, right? Now I'm confused.
Do you remember in Videospelsklubben where we were like, it's not Metroidvanias, it's Zeltroidvanias, because we are adding Zelda into this as well.
Yeah, Zelda 2, right? Yeah, but...
yeah, so it's Zeltroidvanias for everything.
It's not a bad name, actually.
It's so silly.
Yeah, but...
I think it's silly, but I love it.
No, it's good. No, it's not one of my favorite genres, but of course I've enjoyed Water Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap for Sega Master System.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I played the remake where you can switch the graphics between the original and the new hand-drawn one.
Right. It's
but
amazing.
the music though, the beach theme, one of my favorites, hands down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear you talk about this next time too. Zelda 2, is that a Metroidvania or not? Because if it is a Metroidvania, I would say I like that one too. Yeah. I think I don't have that much to say about
I'll note it down.
Oh, I can say one thing though. With my good friend Thomas, I played a quite recent Metroidvania called well, I don't know exactly the name of it, but it was based upon the anime from the 90s called Record of Lodoss War. And it was quite cool. Cool Metroidvania. Yeah, I think that's it for me on Metroidvanias actually. But I will enjoy the episode.
Yeah, I've been in a deep Metroidvania kind of vibe, playing multiple games on that topic, and I feel like 2D platforming, Metroidvanias, backtracking, and so on, it's amazing at the moment. So it's gonna be interesting to talk a little bit more about this. I will of course go a little bit old and a little bit new, in order to shape everything up as always. Amazing tracks will of course be implemented as always. And the podcast theme for this episode or this podcast has, as always, been composed by the amazing Thor Myrdal. And do you have any last words, Mange, before we close down the episode?
No, I was just thinking, actually, I would also like to hear you talk about next time about, these are 5 things that needs to be in a Metrovania in order for it to be called a Metrovania. Like, does it need to be 2D? You know, like all those things. Like, these are like Chris's own 7 criterias for being a Metrovania. That would be interesting to listen to. Other than that,
I'm definitely noting that down.
I'm just, if any listener has finished listening to this episode to the very end, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for taking time in your life listening to our songs on this episode. And I'm just grateful to be here, and thank you once again to you, Chris, for inviting me over.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. You're more than welcome. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for listening. This was episode 52 on the topic of Dual Aeon, together with Magnus Johansson. And I am your host, Kristoffer Schenström. And with that said, take care, everybody, and see you all guys next time.